Kyle, what are you doing?
What do you mean? It's Halloween.
Yeah, we still have sports balls to do.
Oh. Well, can I wear it on the show?
Let's just get going.
Hello everyone and welcome to this Halloween special of Sports Paws. Alongside John Franklin, I'm Kyle Levasseur. And as well as Halloween being here, playoffs are also right around the corner. Will it be tricks or treats for the fall sports teams?
Well, Kyle, Dave Clark's women's soccer team had its senior day this past.
What was that?
I have no idea. Kyle, what was that sound?
Yeah, was that a boo that I heard?
Ooh, I am the ghost of playoff future.
The ghost of playoff future.
Who are you?
Well, I guess we'll send it to the Piazza with the ghost of playoff future.
All right, guys, I'm sorry. Just kidding, guys. It's me, Chris Stacy, and this week was full of playoff implications for both the men's and women's soccer team. Let's get started right into it. We are going to start off with the women's team. Coming into this week, this women's team was in 5th place in the MAC standings. Going into this end, they had the chance to move up into the 4th seed with a win against St. Peter's and a Marist tie or loss. That being said, if they won this game against St. Peter's, and like I said, if Marist tied or lost, they would move up into the 4th seed, meaning they would get a home playoff game. Yes, that is right, a home playoff game here at Quinnipiac. And another important thing to note is that Quinnipiac owns the regular season tiebreaker against Marist and Canisius. So that's big going into the playoffs. Now let's move on to the men's team. This men's team coming into this week was in 1st place in the MAC, but they had a huge game this week against the 2nd place team, Rider. If they win this game against Rider, they win the regular season championship. However, if they lose, they would still be in 1st place with a 1-point lead over Rider. That being said, if they did lose, they would have to go to Fairfield and play them. If they beat Fairfield, they would be regular season champs. And that's all I got for you guys. Playoff implications. A big week for soccer here at Quinnipiac. I'm going to go trick or treat now. Happy Halloweens, guys. Let's send it back to you guys at the desk.
Well, thanks, Chris. Kyle, like I was saying, Dave Clark's women's soccer team had its senior day this past Wednesday. The Bobcats look to go undefeated for the 2nd time at home ever in program history.
That's right, John, and a home playoff game was on the line for Quinnipiac as it took on St. Peter's. Women's soccer versus St. Peter's, a home playoff game on the line, and they really need it. They've been dominating at home all year long, 7-0-0 compared to a 2-6-1 away record. And St. Peter's is going to strike first off a goal from Alexandra Quoto, chipping it over Quinnipiac's goalie, up 1-0. Still in the first half, Jess Fontaine's going to notch things up, 1 apiece. Big goal by Fontaine, the senior. Jumping into the second half, Quinnipiac is going to take the lead off a Kylie Lance goal. The first of her career, John. A big goal, taking the lead. The assist from Madison Barowick. And while it was her first goal of her career, it was Jess Gargan's first goal of the season. A huge insurance goal right in front of the net. They just did a great job getting his bodies in front of the net. They'd go up 3-1. And here late in the game, Gargan with another shot. It would ring off the post, but it doesn't matter. They go and win the game 3-1.
Well, Kyle, that was a big win for the Bobcats. That got them the home playoff game. Canisius came here to Hamden to face the women's soccer team. We're going to take you right to the action here in the first half. We're going to see the ball bounce around the top of the box. Kick out front. Jess Gargan, here's the one-time shot. She puts the ball just wide. Game still tied at 0-0 until Kelly Caruso knuckleball over the top of the Canisius goalkeeper. Quinnipiac goes up 1-0. We're going to move on to the second half now, where Kelly Caruso is going to have her second free kick. Ball goes up, saved by the Canisius goalkeeper, and it would be cleared. But that would not be all for Quinnipiac, as still in the second half, we're going to kick it to the call for Andrew White.
By Kelly Caruso. Get it in now for Pelletier. Pelletier, curling shot, and it's in! Al Pelletier on the near side of the box,
Great play
curls it
there
in
by
over the outstretched
Pelletier.
arms of
She had a
Alana
nice
Rossi.
goal right there
It's
on the
a
outside
2-0
of the
score
post.
for
On
the
the inside
Bobcats.
of the outside post, excuse me, as this ball is going to go in from Canisius over the top. And a great save here, Kyle, diving by Olivia Majewski. Game would continue on. Nadia Gill would have the last goal for the Bobcats here, just out of the frame there. 3-0 Bobcats. They would go on to win this one. Still a little more action to be had, though, from Canisius. Shot off the free kick, tipped over the top by Devin Malcolm, and would be cleared by Quinnipiac. And one more opportunity for Canisius by Maddie Good here. The shot is going to be stoned by Devin Malcolm. Quinnipiac, like I said, wins the game 3-0. That's a playoff victory.
We're now going to bring in women's soccer analyst Drew Feinbergen. Drew, we saw your roommate Chris earlier on in the show. Now you're on as an analyst. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, excuse me, and I hope he did not take my sheets because I'm not trying to spend money to watch them after the show.
Well, let's jump right into the women's soccer. They had their first round of the playoffs against Canisius. What was your thoughts on the first round against Canisius?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a great win. Any playoff win is great for a team like Quinnipiac. Shots on goal for Quinnipiac, they led Canisius 10-5 in this matchup, and in the season they led 18-7 versus the Golden Griffs. Basically, Quinnipiac outpaced Canisius in this game. For example, you saw in the highlight, Nadia Gale basically just ran right past the Canisius defense, slotted it crossbody past the Canisius goalie, went up, 3-0 in this game. Also in this matchup, the goalie combination of Olivia Majewski and Devin Malcolm played a huge part in this matchup, only having 5 goals, but they were huge for the Bobcats coming late in the game. In the last 4 games that the Bobcats won, they averaged 19 total shots, and outshot their opponents 74-34. The same happened in this game. And getting shots and shots on goal was the biggest thing for this team for the Canisius win. I thought it was a great win for this team going forward in MAC play, in playoffs.
Now, Drew, which player do you think had the biggest impact on the team so far this season?
Well, I mean, it's a clear favorite with Nadia Gill. I mean, she leads the team in points with 57, shots on goal with 33, goals with 9, and game-winning goals with 3, which is huge for this team. For shots on goal, she has 33, like I said. And the second person in this who is second on the team in shots on goal is Allie Grunstein, who has 15. But the unsung hero for the biggest impact on this team has been Olivia Majewski, the freshman goalie. She has been absolutely huge for this team in the playoffs and in the regular season. She's been absolutely huge for this team and a big impact so far.
So, Drew, you mentioned Nadia Gill, Olivia Majewski. They've been key. But just how far will those two bring this team?
Well, it's been a great season for this women's soccer team, but I do not see them beating Siena in the next matchup. They have not beat Siena.
Oh, it looks like we're having technical difficulties, Drew, but thank you for being here. Let's jump to men's soccer. With a 1-0 overtime win at St. Peter's, Quinnipiac men's soccer has clinched a playoff spot in the MAC tournament. It was sophomore Matthew Taylor who broke the scoreless tie in the 94th minute of play, his 3rd goal of the season. As for goalie Chris Yakovidis, this marks his 6th shutout of his freshman campaign. The Bobcats improved their MAC record to 7-1 and remain the #1 team in the conference. Since its loss against Niagara to start MAC play, Quinnipiac has won 7 conference games in a row. This marks the longest conference winning streak in program history.
Well, Kyle, we're going to move over to see things happening on the pitch after a historic win. We're going to look at a game. The Rider Bronx came to Hamden, take on Quinnipiac, and we're going to send it right to the first half where with Sean Daly. He's going to notch the first goal here for the Bobcats with a little bit of luck off the back heel of a Rider player. That's an own goal. 1-0, Quinnipiac takes the lead. But the story of this game, Kyle, was really the red cards. We're going to see right here, Ryder is going to get an opportunity to take the lead 2-1 off a penalty kick just by the outstretched hand of Chris Yakovidis. And here we are going to see the red cards come into play as number 4 from Quinnipiac, Connor McCoy, in the second half. He's going to get the first one of the day for the Bobcats, putting him down 11 men to 10. 2-1, Ryder still leads this one, but it wouldn't be the only red card the team had on the day. As for Osmar Cordero, he's going to have the second red card come here just for chatter. The referee's going to give him a red card, send him off. 11 men to Quinnipiac's 9. Ryder has an advantage. But that wouldn't be it. We're going to see SID Ken Sweden. He's going to have a discussion with some rowdy fans on the sideline after Evan Hughes. He got the 3rd red card for the Bobcats. putting them down 11-8 men. And after the game, we're going to see Coach Eric DaCosta. He's going to have a chat with the referees, shake their hands. He's going to shake a coach's hand, assistant ref, but not the main man, not the middle ref. 3-1, Ryder wins that one.
The MAC Cross Country Championships were held at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex in Disney World this past Saturday. The women's team finished second out of 11 teams, with 4 runners placing in the top 10. Kaylee Roberts was the top runner for Quinnipiac, placing 5th overall. Roberts was followed by Neve Ash, Emily Wolf, and Caitlin Backus, who finished 6th, 7th, and 8th respectively. As for the men's team, they finished 7th out of 11 teams. Quinnipiac's Brennan Copley finished 9th overall. The graduate student was the fastest non-Iona runner in the race, as Iona placed an amazing the top 8 runners.
And the rugby team had its lone home game of the season against AIC this past weekend, and we're going to see take it to the first half. Emily Roscoff here, she's going to intercept the pass, and she could go all the way for the try. Quinnipiac takes a 5-0 lead, and we're going to keep it here in the first half as Taylor Schussler, she's going to get an opportunity to punch one in. Quinnipiac's going to take the 12-0 lead after the conversion, and then we're going to move a little bit 15 minutes later, and it's going to be punched in by Flora Poole. Quinnipiac led 24-8 at the half, but AIC would come back. We're going to see here Carrie Helgerson. She's going to get a try here. They're going to take a 38-8 lead, Quinnipiac, but AIC would come back. Quinnipiac would hold them off. 38-34 was your final. And we're going to take it to Maggie Miles after the game.
It's definitely emotional. I think that this game really resonated a lot, especially with the past 4 years that I've put into the program, and the other seniors did as well. It brings back a lot of memories, and it's crazy that it's almost over.
Kyle, that was the only home game, that Quinnipiac's had so far this season. You had a chance to catch up with some of the players about it.
Yes, I did. And although it was technically a home game on the schedule, it was in Southington, Connecticut. Let's hear what they had to say. The Quinnipiac women's rugby team celebrated its senior day this past Saturday. This year, the Bobcats have played its entire schedule on the road. And even though Quinnipiac was considered the home team against American International College, the team still needed to travel to its home site. With construction still being done to the rugby team's field, the Bobcats played at Southington High School, about half an hour away from Quinnipiac. With the game not being on campus, the university provided fan buses for students to come support the reigning national champions. Senior captain Maggie Miles was one of the 7 seniors honored before the game and thought it was a great way to look back on her career.
It was a different atmosphere. We're not used to having a lot of fans, having the pep band, but it was great. It was nice being out here. And I think it was awesome that we were able to have this, and that Southington allowed this, and the university really came through with the pep band and facilities and the fan bus, so it was awesome. Granted, we definitely would have liked it to have it at home, but this being away every weekend, this is definitely something amazing to us, so we really appreciated it.
Miles, along with Haley Wyatt, are the 2 senior Bobcats from the inaugural NIRA All-America team. Head coach Becky Carlson thought Miles, Wyatt, and the rest of the seniors had a great opening ceremony.
I guess coming out here, I'm grateful that we had the fans that we did. It was great to see the pep band. It was great to see the student support. Certainly everybody's families being here was great. Being able to be so close to Quinnipiac right here at Southington, and we're grateful to Southington for having us. And that was a good start to the day.
Kyle Levasseur, Q30 Sports. Well, John, it's time for our first break on Sports Paws, but when we come back, we'll see how the women's hockey team did in its first weekend of conference play.
And the women's volleyball team had a rematch against Marist this past Wednesday. One Bobcat broke a program record in that match. Find out more when we come back.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws.
In the end, we're here to win a championship this year.
Jess Fontaine now has that. She's going to take a ripper off the post, but she's going to come back.
And my number one, hold your applause, Bobcats fans, is Quinnipiac.
All right, Victoria, you know what time it is. It's top 5 plays of the week.
My favorite time.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The women's ice hockey team traveled down the road to face in-state rival Yale this weekend, so let's see how they did. It's the first ECAC game of the season for the women's ice hockey team, and we're going to start right in the second period at the Whale, also known as Ingalls Arena. Quinnipiac's been struggling on the power play this year, but they get the first goal of the game on the man advantage as TT Cianfrano gets a wraparound goal. The referees are going to double check, but it would stand. Quinnipiac remains up 1-0. But Yale ties it up off a Jordan Chancellor snipe on the near post past goalie Sydney Rossman. It's a tie 1-1 game. But later on in the second period, the Bobcats are going to take the lead. Kenzie Lancaster with a beauty, stealing the puck, scoring her first career goal. I think we're going to see that one later, John, on top 5 plays of the week. Later on in the third period, Quinnipiac is going to score its second power play goal of the game off an Emma Woods one-timer. They're up 3-1. Third period now, Quinnipiac with its third power play goal off a Megan Turner shot. Quinnipiac would go on to win 4-1 against their cross-town rivals.
The women's ice hockey team traveled to Providence, Rhode Island to take on Brown this weekend. The Bobcats trounced the Bears 8-0 with 12 different players tallying a point and 8 different players scoring for the Bobcats, including TT Cianfrano, Melissa Samiskevich, and Kenzie Lancaster. Quinnipiac moves to 7-2-1 on the season. Meanwhile, Brown drops to 2-2. Next up for the Bobcats, a matchup with ECAC foe Clarkson on November 4th.
With a 2-0 weekend to start ECAC play, Quinnipiac is tied for first place in the conference. The other teams tied with Quinnipiac are Colgate, St. Lawrence, and Clarkson, all of whom are top 10 teams in the nation. Let's take a look at where they all placed in the USCHO.com poll. Wisconsin remains first overall in the country with all 15 first place votes. Minnesota, Minnesota Duluth, and Boston College hold on to their spots of second, third, and fourth respectively. Quinnipiac is the top ECAC team in the poll, coming in at number 5, and Colgate, St. Lawrence, and Clarkson fall right behind Quinnipiac at 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Kyle, we're going to take it to the ice now. The Bobcats took on the Minutemen of UMass here at TD Bank Arena. First period, Bo Pieper, he has a shot. That'll be a rebound and picked up by Tommy Shutt on the backhand. He's going to put it right through the heart of the goal. Quinnipiac leads 1-0. But here's an absolute snipe from Pieper. Top shelf, Kyle, you said it earlier. We're going to see that one later. And UMass here is going to get one back. Ryan Badger puts one in the back of the net on the wraparound. 2-1. Quinnipiac heading to the second period. Later on, we're going to see UMass shove the puck into the back of the net on a scrum right there in the front of the net. And a great hit here, Leia licked Connor Clifton, and there would be a little extracurriculars as this one got a little chippy. A little later on, we're going to see Tanner McMaster. He's going to drive into the offensive end and put one by the UMass goaltender. 3-2 Quinnipiac. That's how this one would finish up, with a little bit more going on as Connor Clifton would get a game misconduct for slashing. The men's USCHO polls were released today as we saw number 1 would go to Minnesota Duluth as they took over number 1 after beating North Dakota in straight games this weekend. Later on, you saw Denver take number 2 in the polls, North Dakota 3 after losing to Minnesota Duluth. Quinnipiac stayed at 6 this weekend, Boston College just ahead of them. Boston University at 4, UMass Lowell took 7, and to round out the top 10, Minnesota State was number 10.
The women's volleyball team had a rematch against Marist this past Wednesday. The Bobcats beat the Red Foxes just 11 days earlier in what head coach Chris Saplinski called the biggest win in program history. Yet this time it was a completely different story as Quinnipiac was swept 3-0. One bright spot, however, for the Bobcats was Maria Pensari. The freshman setter became the first player in Quinnipiac Division I history to have 1,000 assists in a season.
Quinnipiac took on St. Peter's in its senior day this week. Players such as Allison Lee were honored before the game. Cody Michaels, those are two of the big seniors for this team. We're going to go right to the first set as Alejandra Rodriguez, she's going to make a nice play here and set up Jen Coffey, who's going to put one through the heart of the St. Peter's defense. Quinnipiac would take the lead there, and they would not be done in the first set as Maria Pansari would set up Allison Lee to put the dagger into the first set. Quinnipiac leads 1-0. Second set here, we're going to see Maddie Lowe get low with a nice save as Quinnipiac's going to get the point there and take set number 2. Head over to the third set. Maria Pansari sets up for Kaylee Oates, who's going to put one striped right down the line. Quinnipiac wins this one in straight sets, 3-0.
And while they swept St. Peter's, John, they faced Ryder in their next game. It was their last regular season home game of the year. They dominated at home as well, 8-3 on the year. And going up 2-0 after the first 2 sets, we're now going to go into the third one where Allison Lee is set up by Maria Pensari for the kill. Quinnipiac is up, but Ryder would not let down as Jennifer Borio sends it over the net to give Ryder the lead, and they'd win that set. Now down 2-1, still trying to make a little bit of a comeback. Ryder gains a little momentum as Elizabeth Kloos isn't able to get this one right over her hands. Ryder would get the point. And finally, Rachel Runyon serves the ball for Ryder. Kat Miller bumps it to Maria Pensari, and Quinnipiac would win 3-1.
Well, Kyle, it's time for another break here on Sports Paws. When we come back, we'll let you know how the field hockey team did in its last Big East game of the season.
And of course, everyone's favorite segment, Top 5 Plays of the Week, is coming up next. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss it.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's. Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws.
In the end, we're here to win a championship this year.
Jess Fontaine now has that. She's going to take a ripper off the post, but she's going to come back.
And my number 1, hold your applause, Bobcats fans, is Quinnipiac.
All right, Victoria, you know what time it is. It's Top 5 Plays of the Week.
My favorite time.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The Quinnipiac field hockey team took a trip to Storrs, Connecticut for an interstate matchup against UConn. Let's take a look. UConn, ranked number 1 nationally in the country. Our own Drew Feinberg made the trip up to Storrs for the game to film, and it was all UConn in this one. They got off to an early 2-0 lead off a goal from Anna Middendorf. Right past the goalie, Olivia Galini. She faced a plethora of shots today, or from this one. UConn would add another goal of their own, going up 3-0. Osfae Boker passed another Galini attempt. And later on in the first half, UConn would score again right after Savannah Riley gets the lone goal on the day for Quinnipiac. UConn now up 4-1, and they put a little extra insurance at the end with another goal from the penalty corner. They'd have 9 penalty corners in this game, John. Quinnipiac was unable to draw any. The final score was 5-1. Here again is that final goal from Barbara Hugan of UConn.
The field hockey team had its senior day this weekend against Yale, where Angie King, Savannah Riley, and Allison Turner were all honored before the game. It was a back-and-forth thriller for Quinnipiac as the Bobcats scored first on the stick of freshman Valerie Perkins. But the Bulldogs would come right back seconds later to tie the game at 1. Yale would net the next goal to go up 2-1, but the Bobcats' own Michelle Federico would answer to send the game to overtime. The overtime period was close throughout, but with just 3 minutes left, junior Dana Barlow would bury the game winner off an assist from Elisa Ruiz Martinez, giving the Bobcats the 3-2 win.
Quinnipiac senior captain Angie King is the first student athlete in university history to lead the nation in a stat category in consecutive years. King currently leads the nation in defensive saves with 13 this season. The captain was also selected to the Victory Sports Tour's NFHCA Division I Senior Game. She is one of 6 players from the Big East chosen for the game.
Kyle, you know what time it is?
Of course I do, John. It's Top 5 Plays of the Week time, brought to you by B&D Deli Works, open for breakfast and lunch. Come in and try the Quinnipiac Panini or the Q-Dog Sub. John, you want to get things going with this one?
Absolutely, my friend. We're going to get started with number 5, UConn's own Amanda Collins. She's going to drive down the left side, go down the goal line, and dangle through the bottom, get to the open net of Quinnipiac, and score. As you said earlier, Kyle, Quinnipiac would lose this one 5-1 to UConn.
She's a beauty, that number 4. A little ECAC Hockey East matchup between men's hockey and UMass. Bo Peeper with a snipe bar down. They'd go on to win 3-2.
Number 3, we're going to stay on the ice for TTC in front of. She's going to give a little sauce to a defender and go bottom left against the Yale goaltender. Quinnipiac would win 4-1.
Women's soccer in the first round of the MAC playoffs. Kelly Caruso off a free kick right above the goalie. Quinnipiac would lead 1-0, but it wasn't the top play from that game, John.
No, it was not, because number 1 comes from the same game. Al Pelletier, she's going to cut in and give a little floater into the corner of the goal. Quinnipiac wins that one 3-0 over Canisius.
Well, John, that's all the time we've got here on this week's episode of Sports Paws.
That's right, Kyle. It was great getting on the desk and anchoring together for the first time. For more information, check out our website at q30television.com and trick or tweet us at Q30Sports on Twitter.
For everyone behind the scenes, our viewers at home, and my co-anchor, John Franklin, I'm Kyle Levasseur. Happy Halloween, everybody, and we'll see you next time.